Welcome to another great day the Lord has made. I want to thank you all for joining us at BNN 247. We're about to go live with a story about Medicaid and a little bit about Medicare. And from my perspective, I'm looking at it as a failing parachute because we made all these promises as a federal government to support our people in their elderly years when they are too old to go to work. And now all we need to do is get the health care that we need to live as long as we can. So what I'm finding is that people nowadays are taking their way. I'm talking about underprivileged people. So don't think I'm talking about the rich and the wealthy and these so-called people with money that think that they don't need all these subsidies. So I'm talking about people who have to take to a bus to the doctor's office, people who have to get a van to come pick them up and take them to their appointments. And then you get to your appointment and you get up to the counter and they tell you you cannot be seen today for your appointment because your Medicaid card no longer covers this procedure. And now you want to grab that damn clerk back there and choke the out of her because you telling me I done spent $20 on transportation costs and I done took all these different methods of transportation to get here, and you saying I can't get seen? I got a problem with that. So today, let's dive into a failing Medicaid system that's being cut by 2.8% by the federal government, by the way. And with that, I'm going to start by saying this is the Black News Network, the real voice of Black USA, broadcasting on Sunday afternoon at 3:30 p.m. You can view us on BNN 247 at YouTube. You can also watch the War Report on Facebook, which is live right now. And you can also catch us on Instagram. And I'd love for you to either call or subscribe or like or comment with us in our chat rooms. Please take a moment to say that you subscribed to our channel. This is BNN 247, the real voice of Black USA, broadcasting live this Sunday afternoon. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce to some and present to others my co-host, Mr. Claude Foster. Welcome, Claude. Thank you.
Hello, my brother. Glad to be with you on this sunny and bright May day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's get right into our show today. I've been following what's been happening with this Patient Act. Now, first of all, the only reason we have this Medicare and Medicaid process is because, and you probably don't agree with what I'm about to tell you, but it's been posed several times that this country should give free medical care. But there are so many reasons that people are opposed to free medical care in the USA. But there are so many different cities on this planet that offer free medical care. And that is a pretty sad story to know that you can go to Chile and get free medical care if you're a citizen, but you cannot go to the United States of America, which is 10 times bigger and richer than Chile, and get free medical care. You can go to Australia, get free medical care. You can go to France, you can go to Japan, and you can even go to Canada and get free medical care. But you can't come to the US of A and get free medical care. You got to be invested in one or two or three of these different programs that they have here on the books. And these programs on the books don't give you the right to any care. You're limited to what care you're going to get, and you may get an operation today and think you're going to go back and do a follow-up, and you get back to your follow-up and you get told that your card, your Medicaid card, don't cover a follow-up to your operation that you just had. You can't even get your stitches taken out. So what are we to do as seniors in the richest country in the world when it comes to us being seen at a doctor's office as a follow-up or even initial appointment? Where are we going in this country with us with our seniors being taken care of? With Elon Musk in the White House trying to cut $1 trillion. Now he's only at about 1.7 billion, by the way, and that's with a 2.8% cut in Medicaid. 2.8%. That's a lot of money. That's $1 billion. So my point is, what processes or how do we fix the problem we're having right now with getting our people seen as they grow older in America, especially if they ain't six-figure people? We are leaving these people to die, and there are more and more people being pushed out on the street because they cannot afford health care. They're dying prematurely. They're dying from lack of procedures that they have been identified with. We don't know what we're going to do about this. Not with what's happening in our current administration. Any comments?
Well, let me say this. I mean, healthcare in America has always been a kind of like a race-based system. We don't have national healthcare because of the race-based system we have in America. There are some people that are not viewed as having the same value as others, and that's reflected in how we treat them, how we care for them in terms of their health, how we educate them. So it's a systemic problem in this country. So anytime there are cuts to any kind of budgets, that's why Obama was trying to push healthcare. I mean, he's trying to get us closer to a national health service. I mean, in England, everybody can go to the doctor. Everybody gets the same level of treatment. But in America, the program to catch the people at the bottom is called Medicare. Whether it's low income, it was first Medicare came about because of low income seniors, and then pregnant women were added, and other groups were added to it. But until we deal with this question of equality in America, we will never deal with health care. And now my understanding is that the Trump administration wants to cut Medicare or Medicaid. Right now, the Medicaid is controlled by the states. And think about it now. Think about this. Put this in both hands. Texas and Mississippi, that's where we're from. Mm-hmm. Both of them celebrate National Confederate Day. The state holidays. Mm-hmm. Texas is not a state holiday in Texas, but it's a holiday that's acknowledged. In Mississippi, it's a day off. So do you think two Confederate states that still hold on to that Confederate mindset is going to treat its citizens fair when it comes to health care?
No.
And so I guess what I'm saying, I think part of the problem is it's a political system. It's a political system. You're right. If a person has an ailment, makes the effort to get to the doctor, and once they get to the doctor, they find out that they can't be treated. To me, that's inherently evil.
Yes, it is. It's inherently evil.
It's evil, but racism is an evil institution.
Yes,
it's an evil society.
Why would you expect anything different here? I mean, this country has basically told us from day one that this is a country that's not here to focus on poor people. And if you ain't got it, you ain't got it. And we're basically a part of the great pretending society.
Well, I guess the question would be then, brother, is why don't people vote like that? Like they matter? I mean, why would poor people in Mississippi and Alabama and Texas and all these southern states vote for a guy like Trump. How did that happen?
It happened because people are being misled by deceitful
By who?
people.
Who are they
By
being
deceitful
misled by?
people. Huh?
How are they being misled?
If I'm a politician, I'm going to tell you what I think you want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't give a damn if I can provide you what I'm telling you or not. What I'm doing is trying to get elected. I don't give a damn about what you want. I want to get elected. So in order for me to get elected, this is what I need to tell you. So if I know that poor white people, I'm just using what's actually done happened here in this country. If I know that these white people want me to be in office over this black lady, then I'm voting for you. I don't give a damn what your presentation is. I'm thinking that you're going to bring us back to a great America again. You're going to turn the tides on how we as black people have uprisen ourselves, and we're taking advantage of all these government sources that we're going to fix that.
Well, why don't you say what you're really saying? White America believes that. White folks believe that. That's white America believes that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying my best to be politically correct here, but you about to take me down a rabbit hole that
I'm not. I just want us. See, sometimes we speak in broad terms because he's not appealing to poor people.
We need to get specific.
He's appealing to white people, poor people,
right?
Not black poor people,
right?
Not Hispanic poor people,
mm-hmm.
Not any other group of poor people. So, I think we need to be. Obamacare.
Mm-hmm. Let's go with Obamacare.
Well, it was designed to expand healthcare coverage to millions of people that didn't have it. And look what the states did.
They tried to repeal Obamacare 14 times.
Right.
And it never worked because people think that they're getting a great deal by signing up for Obamacare. But the only thing Obamacare is doing is making it accessible for you to sign up for health care, not making you not get denied health care because of your income-based level, because it's all based on money. Now, the biggest thing I see right now is Medicaid offers thousands and thousands of line item. They call them contract line item numbers, CLINs. Each CLIN covers a very specific charge that's used within healthcare. In other words, every time that nurse comes into your room, every time they change your bedding, every time they give you an IV or change one of the medication bags or bottles, all of this incurs a cost. And all of that is billed to either if you're an indigenous person, billed to one of your either Medicaid or Medicare. Now, when that's billed to these two entities, let's use those two for an example, and you run out of funds for let's say, I'm gonna just use diapers. You run out of funds for diapers. So now where does the money come from to pay for your diapers after that? Somewhere that money has to come from somewhere. But if your contract line item number that's already allocated by the state, the funds have already been given to the state, and now the state has taken that money and said, this is how much we're going to give to each individual. And once they reach that cap, then they on their own, then that's the problem. They set the contract line item numbers at the end of the year or the beginning of the year. And then during the year, inflation affects what these items cost. So today you get a gallon of gas, it costs you $2.99 or $2.50. Tomorrow it might be $2.85. So same thing happens with these contract line item numbers in the hospital. Today it's covered. The cost is under what the state allocated for this particular item. But next week, what the state allocated does not cover because of tariffs, because of all the money that's being charged now to bring in these items from overseas. All that charge is being passed to who? The poorest people in the country, the end item user. That's who gets to pay for it. Under their account, that's where it's being paid for. And you run out of money a lot faster when items go up. So I'm thinking that one of the reasons they try to raise the gas prices is to get more people off of the freeway system. They raise the gas prices so that people can't afford to buy gas, so people are going to drive less. But it seems like it don't matter what they raise the damn gas prices to, you're still going to have traffic jams.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think you can have a national health program in a country that's got almost 400 million people?
Canada has it. Japan has it. Yeah, why Japan has it? Japan got it, and they
don't have 400 million people.
But they got more people per square foot than any other place on the planet.
Name one Western country that's as large as America that has universal health care.
All right, France.
And you name mostly European countries.
France has universal health care.
Population of France.
I couldn't tell you offhand, but
less than 100 million probably.
Huh? I can look it up, but I don't know what it is right now. Japan, the United Kingdom has free health care.
80-something.
Brazil, Australia,
but
the Bahamas, China. Now China got more people than anybody on the planet, and they got free health care. So you want to know who about people?
I don't know nothing about China.
Cuba, what is it? Cuba or Cuba?
Cuba.
Cuba. They have free health care. So all these places, everybody surrounding the U.S. got free health care.
I'm just saying that there's no other country. See, all these countries that you're describing don't have the history that America has when it comes to people of color.
Yeah, see, that's that term that nobody wants to hear. What are people? Who are people of color?
Well, black people. Let's just be honest about it.
Okay.
All these programs have caps on them. Mm-hmm. All these programs have restrictions and caps and all like that because of us.
Yeah, because they don't want us to have free health care. And the problem is we are entire society that's not recognized, but everything governs around us. And everything that they put out there, for instance, Medicaid, they put out there that can cover us. They put another stipulation on the same side that they don't talk about that keep us from being able to maximize the use of these particular systems. For instance, Medicaid, you got to have a deductible. That deductible was not to help the country. That deductible was to hurt you as a black person, to keep you from being able to use the system to take care of your health. They put that deductible there because you can't afford a deductible. And that's exactly what's happening in the healthcare system now. Who wants to pay, or who can pay $120 deductible for 3 appointments? You cannot afford $120 if you're an indigenous poor person in America. You can't pay that kind of money if it has no damn deductible.
Why do you think we got some of the highest mortality rates?
Because we don't take care. We can't go to the doctor, and the doctors don't give us the same level of care. You can't even get the same level of anesthesia or a pain medication. Even a doctor, it was a case, I don't remember the doctor's name, but she was a physician, and she came up down with cancer, and she had to go into the hospital, the same hospital she worked at, and deal with the same doctors that she worked alongside of to give her health care. And they treated her like shit. They allowed her to die. They let her sit in her own feces as a physician in a hospital. So because she was black. So it don't matter how smart you are or how rich you are. It matters what your color is, because that is what makes the difference in America. Every single category you can come up with about us in America or about the American society, you can find a higher mortality, casualty, bad rate on our culture for every category. So, in other words, we fall below everything economically, educationally, physically, medically, you name it, even the prescription medication category. We fall behind. We get generic medications, and generic medications are not made of the same materials as an authentic medication. It is so difficult for a black person to get an authentic medication. It ain't even funny. I mean, even the VA is just as bad. They send you all these
So why do you
medications
in our two-party system? Why do you think that? Why do you think more emphasis is not put on this subject in our
because
in our single party system, in our black single party system?
Because this subject cannot be resolved without representation. We haven't had representation since 1963, man. We had look at the representation we've had. Every single movement that black people have made to represent black people have been squashed. Every single movement, whether it was a nonviolent movement or whether it was a you slap me, I'm slapping you back movement. It didn't matter. If you did too much in one area, like Medgar Evers did with registering people to vote in Mississippi, you did.
When the last time
exactly what happened?
When the last time in the healthcare system did you have the benefit of a black doctor? Where did all the black doctors go?
Make me curse no more.
Where did all the black doctors go?
We got black doctors out there, but black doctors are so caught up into being a black doctor and not want to be labeled as a black doctor that a black doctor, if a black doctor want to be a black doctor, he's going to get a black office in a black neighborhood. There's black doctors that do that now. Only one out of probably every 250 will open up a clinic in their own neighborhood in an old house on the corner where they can see their own people and their own patients. And they stay there till they're 75 and 80 years old, and they got everybody in the community coming to see them. And so when they die off, these people are no longer covered because they don't have nowhere to go because they're so used to being taken care of by their own kind. So the moment they set foot in that university hospital, you don't know who you're going to get walking through that door. They're going to walk in there, they're going to look at you in about 13 seconds and they gone. You ain't even got a chance to even take a breath and say anything to the doctor. The doctor don't give a damn about you. He gives a damn about that money. Even the money from the federal government to the state, everybody's focused on the physician. Ain't nobody focused on the patient. The hospitals are focused on the physician. The federal government focus on the physician. They're the ones who they want to take care of. They want them comfortable. They don't give a damn about the patient. The patient, that's why they call them a patient or the practice, because that's all they're doing is trying to learn how to do something with a person. The operations, none of this stuff really amounts to nothing for the patient.
So what is the Trump administration proposing? I know there's a lot of discussion going on about Medicaid.
Yeah.
So what are some of what's the political
right? The Trump right now have what they call the Republican Reconciliation Act or packet. It's called the Republican Reconciliation Packet. Now this packet ain't designed to improve Medicaid. It ain't designed to improve healthcare. It's designed to find places to cut. And who gonna suffer when there's a cut? Not the rich, not the powerful, but the poor. The people will suffer. The patients who need these coverages are the ones who will suffer. They're cutting services, and the services could be anything from getting transportation to and from your appointment. It could cover anything from you being seen within 3 hours at a emergency. You have been to the emergency room and ain't nobody in the damn emergency room, and it still takes you 2 hours to get seen by a doctor. That's bullshit. And I'm sorry to cuss on live TV, but it's bull. There's no way it should take that long for you to be seen. And then in other cases, everybody is clamming for you to be a patient at their clinic. Come to my clinic. Come to my clinic. You get all these letters in the mail saying, we're going to do all this for you. You should be under our program. But the moment you get under their program, they only concern is making sure that they get paid for you getting a colonoscopy, you getting annual physical, you getting physical therapy, whatever way they can get the easiest money, that's what they're going to put you in.
But you raise a good point. And, I mean, to show you how uneven a society is, you can drive in a middle-class community. You got emergency clinics, you got miniature hospitals, serving areas, you got hospitals. Medical care is less than a mile away in a lot of cases. But the poorer you are, the more difficult it is for you to get.
You can't get ambulances.
Well, you got to go to either the county hospital or some other public clinic or something that's, many miles away. Now, in large cities, to be honest, where you have governance that looks like us, a lot of these issues have been addressed. You got clinics and you got satellite locations at community centers, and to try to bridge that gap. But I'm just thinking of people in rural areas, and
they're catching hell.
There's
no doctor services that most of us
like you say, those rural doctors that's been there since segregation have died off.
Yeah, it's not there for us anymore. It used to be, but right now we're struggling. Like everybody in my hometown was born at Dr. Sudd's office.
It was Dr. Dinkins. See, everybody can tell you the name of that doctor.
But did you have to go to the back door?
No, not with Dr. Dinkins. He was black.
Yeah. Well, we ain't had no black doctors in my rural.
Not one?
No. Not one.
Yeah, Dr. Dinkins was black, and then we had a Good Samaritan Hospital, which was a 6-story black hospital.
The closest, there's a hospital 8-10 miles away, but everybody go to that hospital die. So nobody wants to go to that hospital.
Everybody go
to the hospital in Jackson, 90 miles away.
Man, that was the repetition of a hospital, and everybody went there and died.
Yeah, that is the repetition of that hospital. And I'm going to go and say it. And in Indianola, Mississippi, that hospital has the worst reputation that I've ever seen. Everybody in Inverness says, don't take me there if I get sick. I'd rather go to Greenwood or to Jackson because I ain't going over there to die. And everybody we know that went to that hospital died before they got out of there. Or they went in there for a cold and died of pneumonia or some stuff like that. That's how bad the hospital was. And then you don't get seen. You got one doctor running a patient floor of 50 people. It's impossible for that one doctor to see these people. You're going to walk in anybody's office for what? 3 seconds? Yeah, you got this, you got this, you got that. And then the nurse will be in here to see you in a minute. You out. You ain't in there, you ain't listening to nothing the patient's saying. But if you are not telling or calling these doctors to the floor saying, hold up, doc, I don't know if you know what my problem is, but I don't appreciate you coming in here telling me that this is my problem when I know that's not it. This is what's wrong with me, and I need you to address these issues. You have to tell the doctor what your problem is. He don't give a damn about you. He don't know you. He's just trying to get your money, and that's just the bottom line. Now, some of us find some great doctors that do care and that do want to make sure our health care is taken care of.
How do you take bias out of the healthcare system? How do you take what all these
America, it'll never happen.
I mean, these doctors,
you can't take bias out of any. You can't even take bias out of blind gas.
Well, I'm talking about racial bias when it comes to.
That's what I'm talking about.
Books like The Race, Trace, and Tendencies of the American Negro, The Bell Curve. All these books that were written that were part of the medical teaching apparatus in terms of what they read and what they understand about us. How do you get that mindset out of? I mean, if you go into the doctor and the doctor says, well, you know, he gonna drink himself to death anyway. I'm not gonna spend all this time trying to cure his cancer because he's gonna kill himself anyway. You're not gonna get adequate treatment. So if I got a bias toward you when you walk in that door, I don't care whether you got Medicaid, Medicare, or Supercare. You're not gonna get.
So what is your focus as the doctor? I know what the focus is. The focus is, how can I maximize the most money I can get out of this person before they die? That's what that's what it's all about.
You just gotta, since it's a finance-based system.
Because it's so bad right now that doctors are being offered houses, cars, every other free accommodation that you can give a person to move to your hospital and be there for your patient.
Especially a problem
when you got doctors giving back houses because they don't want to be part of Medicaid and Medicare because of the payment lags 3 months to 9 months behind the actual services. That's where the problem is. The federal government is not operating in real time. The state government is not operating in real time. The hospital is operating in real time. When that person comes in there sick, they need immediate care. But Medicaid, Medicare does not pay in real time. So if I do a service to you, an emergency service for $150,000, and it's going to take me another 90 days to get that, then I'm wasting my time with you. I want my money tomorrow. I want my check when it's supposed to come.
Are you going to get the paperwork in by tomorrow? I mean, how fast is it?
See, hospitals are efficient. They get the paperwork in, but the payment lags. And that's what I'm saying. It's the state and the federal systems that are prima donna. They're ancient. Yeah. These systems cause a delay in payment to the people providing the services. So if you ain't got billions of dollars sitting back in an account to pay people that work at your facility, then you're going to end up closing that hospital because nobody can afford to be there because they're not going to get paid. And they're not going to work there if you're not paying them. And because you say, well, I can't make payroll this week because Medicaid still owe us $1.7 billion. And once we get that, we'll make sure you get your money. Don't nobody want to hear that shit. They can go down the street and work at the next hospital and get paid next week. Right. That's what they look at. So right now, the problem is the systems we use are antiquated. Just like the Trump was talking about the air traffic control systems that we use. We've never upgraded this system that we know of. I mean, we changed the computer here and there, but the entire system is screwed. That's why we've had more plane crashes over the last
because Medicare is administered by the state, and you got 50 states and you got 50 different systems within those states. So it depends on where you are. Would dictate the response that you get in terms of the issues you're talking about, in terms of reimbursements to the doctors, to the hospitals, and access to the care.
Mm-hmm. All right, and so basically, we already know that the Medicare system, all this entire system, is a problem. And right now, the only solution we can offer is you got to keep searching and you got to keep hounding them and you got to stay on the phone to get the appointments you need. There's no magic solution. There's nothing that anybody can do right now to force these people to see you or to force these clinics to help you. The best philosophy, which I think most people already are resorting to, is going to the university hospitals where they have to take the public. But if everybody's thinking that way because they can't get seen at the hospital right around the corner, then you're overloading a particular system. And the way Donald Trump and Elon Musk is looking at it, then if you can't afford healthcare, you don't need it or you don't deserve it anyway. So with that on healthcare, we're going to move into some other areas and we'll be right back. I wish we could do more for healthcare, but it's only us bringing this information to you. And the solution that I'm providing today, and as well as what I want to ask Claude at the end of what I'm saying here, is that the only thing I could ask you to do as a citizen in this country, if you're being turned away from an appointment, is to immediately go to the university hospital under emergency conditions, because that is the best solution I can tell you right now. Right? There's no other solution, because the more you push and without representation, the more you lose. And right now we're losing because we don't have the representation in politics that we should have. And we're doing it that way because we're in denial that something's going to happen without us doing anything. I don't care how hard, you know how Black people have a bad habit of thinking that these people, my bosses, are going to recognize my work ethics. They're going to recognize how hard I work, and they're going to give me the promotion, and they're going to give me the pay that equates to the work that I do. That is so far from the damn truth. It ain't funny. They don't give a damn about your performance. They want you to just put more and more and more and more until they work you to death, and then they'll put somebody else cheaper in there, cheaper than you. So don't expect anything to be given to you based on your performance or based on how you address these situations. You better demand what you want, and you better get it any way you need to. And Malcolm X said it best: by any means necessary.
Well, healthcare. If healthcare is a human right, we wouldn't have these different tiers of healthcare. I mean, there wouldn't be Medicare and Medicaid and all these different tiers. There'd just be healthcare for all. Yeah. Why can't we just have a program that says healthcare for all, and everybody is entitled? In a country like America, everyone should be entitled to healthcare that's equal or on par with any healthcare provided to any other citizen in this country. Yeah. And that should be the position of our elected officials.
Right.
But what we keep doing, we keep trying to play these nuance games, and the people at the very bottom continually get hurt. And because that's the American, that's America. I mean, America is built on pillars that are not equal. Some pillars are strong and deep and have a lot of strength, and some pillars are weak and vulnerable because of the structure that was built around them, or the structure that they was placed in. So I think Bernie Sanders has been a strong proponent of national health care, but he can't get any inroads, not from the Republican Party, from his own party. Health care has been his position for years, but he's never nominated. He never gets the. Why is that?
Because he wants to do too much for poor people. That's why.
I don't think he coaches it in poor people. I think he just wants to do right by the American people. Every American should be entitled to health care.
American people, what he wants, everything he wants benefits poor people. And that's what they don't want to do, is benefit poor people. That's what the elitist American people with the power don't want to do. Why would they want to take care of all these people that are under the 60s?
But that's been his platform, healthcare, national healthcare for all. But his party hadn't nominated him, and he's not been elected president. I mean, the
I like
solution
Bernie
and the
Sanders
people
too.
with the
He
solution
probably would have
are
been
out
a
there,
great president.
but they can't get elected.
Well, he can't make America great again. That's why.
Well, he could if I think he could if everybody got behind him or somebody like him. I mean,
We can't get behind nobody when we don't participate, Claude.
well,
I mean, if we don't get into politics, we ain't never gonna get ahead.
I mean, the solution to this healthcare, you say healthcare is a human right.
Yes, it is.
If it's a human right, it should be available to all. It shouldn't be based on your income. It should be based on humanity. If you said healthcare is a human right, not an economic right, not a status right. It's a human right.
There's something America represents that I've seen since I was 20 years old, and that is incongruent communication. Everything we say, there's an opposite story. We did the Emancipation Proclamation, and what happened? We did the Black Codes. So everything that we go in, we take 2 steps forward and 3 steps backwards on every level. And healthcare is just one of those levels. So, far as I'm concerned, we are stuck right now in a quagmire, and it's going to take us another 30 to 50 years to get out of. And if we don't start now by being informed, we are going to die at a much higher rate than we're dying now. Because right now we're dying at the highest rate there is in America as Black people, because we are not informed. We don't know that our kindness and our love and our peace and happiness and our ability to speak upper middle class English don't change a damn thing. It don't change anything. They still look at us as niggas. I don't care how you look at it. When the rubber hits the road, when it boils down to it, if they could just would pull every damn service from us and give it to everybody else, they would.
The NAACP published a piece back during segregation, right? And the title of it was, and I got the book here. It ain't the.
Hold it up if you get a chance.
Let me get it.
That's one thing we love to do, is promote books that we read and that we like you to read, because it always gives you an insight on something about what's happening in America. It's not the distance, it's the niggas.
Hello?
The NAACP put that out.
Huh?
I need to pull that one up. I'm writing that one down, Claude. I'm gonna get that book. It's not the distance, it's the niggas. If it wasn't for the niggas, we'd be fine. That's basically what the book is saying, right?
We don't want busing. This was a real report. Comments on the controversy over school busing, NAACP legal defense, and educational fund. It's not the distance, it's the what?
The niggas. Ain't that sad?
It ain't Medicaid, it's the what?
Claude, you wrong for that one, brother. It is. It's the new. I hate to keep saying that.
The reason why we don't have national health care is because of that.
Because of what? Us. Because of us. It is all, and that's what they view us as, no matter what we do. But there was another case, something you mentioned earlier about
if America was all white, don't you think we'd have national health care? You got it in England.
Of course.
You got it in France. You got it
everywhere in an all-white society, right? Yeah. We have a melting pot of people here, and that's what they hate. They wish they could have did something without it, but they couldn't have did what they've done without it. You know, it's almost like we're the necessary evil that they don't want to recognize.
And, you know, and history ain't that long ago. Do you know, not until 1954, the Supreme Court, could Hispanics serve on juries? There was a lawsuit filed in 1954.
To get to, well.
For Hispanics to be able to serve on juries in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what amendment?
What amendment was it?
The 14th Amendment.
So the 14th Amendment did what?
Allowed Hispanics to serve on juries in this country.
How can the 14th Amendment do that, though? I mean, did they make a?
Equal protection under the law.
Okay, so why is it that black people still suffer all white juries? They still do that. You can't have a jury of your peers and ain't nobody black on it.
Well, I mean, if you go to Wisconsin, I mean, if you go to Wyoming and commit a crime, you're likely to get a jury of all white people.
But then that's a violation of the Constitution.
Where it's up to you, but your lawyer can.
But if you don't fight it, if you don't know, you don't know.
So you're saying an all-white jury in Wyoming would not be fair to you as a black man?
Hell to the no. How can that be fair?
This is 2025, brother. Race color don't matter. The color of your skin doesn't matter.
That's what they want you to believe. But if that was the fact, we'd all have health care. I guarantee it.
So you saying a white judge can't try you?
Yeah, he can. But the jury better have some color in it. Because if they ain't got no color in it, they can't represent me. Because it's not a jury of my peers. My peers have to look like me.
No, your peers are American citizens. You can't be tried by.
Oh, you think just because of the
illegal immigrants, huh?
So you saying all the white folks can be my peers and nobody black on that jury?
Did you see that movie where it was filmed in Arizona and wasn't that many blacks in Arizona, but the prison was full of black folks?
They from all over everywhere else.
Blazing Saddles. Did you see that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, you saw the.
That's crazy, ain't it?
Yeah.
But that's the way it works here in America. We're like we're like the best kept secret. We're like that person that we're.
But the reason we don't have national,
we don't want the neighbors to know we got y'all here.
But the reason why we don't have national health care in this country is because of
black folks, because of our race, because of the descendants of slaves.
Yeah.
So that is the biggest problem we have now when it comes to any form of the federal government recognizing us. We are not recognized as a people here in this country. That's why they're trying to make us just think we're just citizens and Americans, nothing else. That's why William Plecker destroyed all the people of with a particular character.
Why do you think black excellence declined after integration?
Decline what?
Do you think black excellence declined after integration?
You said it declined after we integrated because they disappeared black people into the culture of white people. And that's what the problem has been all along.
Would you say
why do you think they did integration? Integration wasn't because of Martin Luther King. Integration was because of the progress we were making on our own. We're the fastest growing and the fastest improving society on the planet. Yep. Nobody has ever accomplished things like our communities. And America noticed that and said, well, we got to do something about that. When they first established the voting, what was it, the 15th Amendment, America elected over 20-some people in Mississippi the very first time. But after that, they said, never again will you have that opportunity. So what did they do? They destroyed black people and black cultures and black communities in order to make sure you'll never have that kind of representation in the state of Mississippi again, the most racist state in the union.
Not just Mississippi, throughout the South.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were being voted into positions until then. But you mentioned something about a police officer earlier in the show.
Yeah, it's an interesting case, and I just want to share it with our listeners. You know, this Mr. Hinton, I think it was in Cincinnati, Ohio. His son got shot by the police, and the next day he gets in his car. He sees a police officer out traffic control and runs him over and kills him in retaliation for his son being murdered. And I just wanted to get your thoughts about that.
And this the same? Is this the same police officer?
It wasn't the same police officer that
You
shot
said it
his.
wasn't?
No, it was just a police officer.
Oh well, that's not that's like
Would
you
it
beat
have made a
somebody's
difference if it
brother.
was? Would it have made a difference if it had been the same police officer? You
Of
think that
course,
would
it,
have
of course
lessened?
it would have. Why would you go beat up somebody that ain't had nothing to do with what happened to you?
Where was the
You
police
know,
officer?
just because he was black, which is what they do.
Well, let me ask you a question: if the KKK hung you
Mm-hmm.
and you went out, would you be looking for the KKK that specifically did it, or would you just grab any KKK? I mean, would you ask the KKK member? Are you the one that? I mean, would you do that?
I don't know what to comment on this one, Claude. You got me.
I mean,
I
what
know that.
I mean, what he did was wrong.
Let me answer you.
But do you think he?
You heard the saying that two wrongs don't make a right,
right?
And that's a fact. Two wrongs do not make a right. You cannot say I'm gonna kill anybody because somebody else did something.
But can you understand?
If you mess with my family, I'm taking your entire family out. That is not democracy. That is not how you deal with situations. That's a prima donna way to deal with these things. But as an adult, you try to use the systems that are available to you when stuff like that happens.
You think he has
you go after the individual that caused the problem. And the individual, you can't fix things by not going after the problem.
Do you think
you said if the KKK did this to my family, do I just go out and arbitrarily kill white people? No, that don't make sense. If I don't know who did it, then I can expect the systems to find out who did it, or it's my responsibility to find out who did it and then bring that person to justice. And the justice might not be what I want. Like in the Emmett Till case, they found the people who did Bryant. Speaking of that, I want to tell you that Mr. Bryant, the guy who killed Emmett Till, went to school 150 feet from where I grew up.
You kidding me?
No, he went to school he learned how to weld at Bell Manufacturer, which is 150 feet from my house where I grew up in Mississippi.
Man.
Right after he killed Emmett Till and this is the kicker, he went on the VA funding. That's who paid for his school at Bell Manufacturing. That's where he learned how to weld. And that man never served a day, and his wife never served a day in jail. And that's the sad part. Justice has a color on it. And if you're black and you're trying to get equal justice under the law,
because she lied, right?
The law is not written for you as a black person. So sometimes you may have to take care of your own justice, but you don't have to kill to do it. You have to use their systems against them. And you cannot use their systems against them if you are not willing to do the research to know how to use their systems. In other words, there's a penal code for every single thing, law for law. And if you want to be able to deal with a police officer who pulls you over, then you need to know the laws surrounding a police officer's rights and your rights when you're being pulled over by the law. And there's certain things you don't do when you're being pulled over by the law. And if they have the right to shoot you, if they suspect you trying to harm them, then somebody had do anything to cause them to shoot you.
Right.
You don't fight the battle at the traffic stop. You fight the battle in the courthouse. Use their systems. That's what you got to learn. And this Medicare system, this Medicaid system, you better learn it if you intend to use it, or if you're growing into an age where you're going to need it. If you don't know it, then you're going to get screwed every damn time. If you don't know it, you're going to go to the wrong doctor's office. You're going to pay the highest deductibles. You're going to pick the wrong Obamacare process. Now, Obamacare only opened up the opportunity for you to get Medicare, but you still got to pay. And over 32 million people are signed up under Obamacare. That's a lot of folks that signed up under Obamacare. But before that, there was not as many people covered because we were so dependent on going to the emergency room. Now that they're not paying equivalent to the rate of inflation on Medicare and Medicaid, now you gonna have to resort back to the emergency room. So I'm telling you right now, if you can't get seen when you go to the doctor for this and they tell you your appointment was canceled, then leave that appointment, go straight down to the damn emergency room and tell them you need to get admitted. Get admitted that way. They have to treat you. They may do it right then. They may admit you. You never know. But don't go home and cry about it because that ain't gonna solve a damn thing. You're gonna have to do something. I suggest go to the emergency room every single time you get told your appointment has been canceled. Don't go trying to go to any other, go to the most expensive hospital on the block and go to the emergency room and fall out in the floor if you have to. I mean, you need to put on the act that you need to put on to get yourself serviced. And whatever it takes, by any means necessary. And when I say that, I mean, if you got to act a damn fool, you do everything you need to do short of going to jail. Do it. Get admitted. Get checked right there in the emergency room before you go home. Don't allow them to just tell you your appointment was canceled and we ain't not going to see you. And you think it's over? If you allow it to be over, it is. Get in your car, call transportation, do whatever you have to do, and go down to the emergency room at the most expensive hospital.
Well, some people would argue that's why healthcare is so expensive, because we're so over reliant on the most expensive aspects of healthcare.
But who put it that way? They forcing you to make it that way. They know they're doing it because they don't want to fix the problem, because you got used of it. And as long as you got use of it, they're going to act like it doesn't exist. So why not exaggerate? I don't even know the big word. Move the problem to another level. That's what I'm saying. Don't leave the problem where it's at. Move it to the next level. If they don't want to see you on your appointment, go to the emergency room. Get it done. That's the bottom line. You need the coverage. You need the expertise. You need the medication. Go to the emergency room, and if that don't solve the problem at your first visit, go again the next day. Go again at 2 o'clock in the morning. Go again at 12 o'clock. Go whenever, but go. What they gonna do? They gotta see you. That's law. You go to the emergency room, you gotta be seen.
Well, yeah, the Trump administration, they are gonna cut back on
what? What, they gonna refuse you service in the emergency room?
No, they're gonna cut back on the funding.
They already have. They started with the 2.8% cut in January, and there's going to be another.
They're working on the budget now. So
yeah, they're working on the Republican reconciliation packet, which is cuts to Medicaid. That's what that is, and it's about cutting the services that they're offering to people that can't afford healthcare, which is a human right.
Yeah, and it's going to have an impact on states with large African American populations, like Texas,
like Mississippi, Illinois,
Alabama,
like Mississippi,
South Carolina,
Florida.
Yeah,
we got to stop being the great pretenders. We got to stop pretending that these problems don't exist, because they do. There's a song that was written back in the 60s by it's about the pretenders, and they talk about how we fake ourselves out, that believing that all these things are working in our direction when ain't a damn thing working in our direction. Every single thing we got to fight for. And I was telling somebody the other day that I knew people that in 2025 making $9 an hour after working 20 and 30 years on a job. Ain't no damn way you should be making $9 to $10 an hour after working on a job that long. I'm sorry that that's how it turned out, but people will pay you pennies if you allow them to do that, if you continue to work for them for those peanuts. So if you getting paid $20 an hour and you feel like you're worth $30 an hour,
Yeah.
then you do $20 an hour worth of work. That's what you do.
Well,
you have to take control of yourself in these situations and not allow the community or the society to dictate how you deal with it. And you keep trying to walk around and be politically correct and do all the things like a great American citizen would, then you be the damn fool and think that you're going to make it that way.
So what's your parting comments about healthcare in terms of what people should do?
Well,
did I hear you say go to the emergency room?
Yes. I mean, it's only, I mean, you can't squeeze blood out of a turnip. If you go into an appointment and you done spent your last to get there, and you get there and they tell you, well, you can't be seen today, even though you had an appointment at this time, because there's no funding available on your Medicaid card, then you don't need to choke the clerk, because the clerk ain't the one determining that you don't have funds on your Medicaid card. That's why you don't have to get mad. You got to walk away, because that clerk is not responsible for you having money on your card. The government is. That's why they gave you the card.
Excuse me, they actually put money on the card?
No, I'm just saying the card will tell you if they put the CLIN numbers, the contract line item numbers, on your card, on your Medicare file. In other words, when you bill Medicare or bill Medicaid, and you say, let's say I'm a hospital, I'm building Medicare, Medicaid for a service that I just gave you. So I just took your blood pressure, and I bill them. So Medicaid comes back and said, well, we're not going to pay you for that because this individual already exceeded or already maxed out his blood pressure checks in the hospital. They already had their 10 checks for this year. So we can't pay you for this one.
But if I belong to AAA, I get four. They will come to my aid 4 times within that year. After that, I got to pay $100.
You got to start paying.
You got to start paying.
That's why I say your deductibles go up. But who can pay $100 deductible every time you go to the doctor? Who can pay that?
So what should the system? How should it work?
The system are going to have to either pay for it or it's not going to pay for it. You're going to give you can't see. We're like, we like to start these things.
Right.
We like to put forth the effort and make it look like we're doing all this work for our people, but in actuality,
no, it's an illusion.
It's an illusion. We're not doing anything. That's a perfect word. It's an illusion. The governments are not there to take care of you with Medicaid, with Medicare, or anything else. They're doing these things because somebody fought hard enough to get so many dollars approved. So the government now is fighting to not allow the caps or the monies or the funds allocated for taking blood pressure to exceed a certain dollar amount. So the contract line item numbers that was issued on January 1, 2025, let's say you got $75 each time you took your blood pressure. Now in where we in May? In May, it's $125 each time you take your blood pressure. So now that $75 don't cover blood pressure taking in May. It did in January when they allocated the funds. So the government's lack of keeping up the funds or keeping up with real time is not there. You always know if you're doing business with the government, your pay is gonna be behind schedule if you're doing a contract with them. You're never gonna get paid.
So community health centers, they're reimbursed the same way. Like if you go into a community health center, are they reimbursed the same way?
Yes, they got medical billing just like everybody else. Everybody uses the same system. Every medical facility uses the same systems. Let's say you got Humana, you got this one. Health insurance is almost like car insurance. You got 1,000 different providers out there, and
Right.
your provider provides for different things. And that's why they keep pushing every October with the Humana, Aetna, and these other big companies, USAA now. These are the companies that these big companies, you pick one of these companies and they offer different packets.
Right.
Each packet you can pick, let's say for me, for
But
instance.
that's not Medicaid though.
Well, wait a minute. No, this is Medicare. One thing, this is what I pick. I pick dental assistance, transportation. I don't need the medical, the pill, the prescription coverage, and some other little bull crap things. You pick what you need, and that's why they give you the option for different Medicare medical
But
companies.
that's not Medicaid though. You think Medicaid people
It's different.
should have the same
Medicaid is
option? Right.
Medicaid is cut and dry. This is what the state provides based on your salary or based on your input. So
Right.
you paid into it. This is what we'll pay for you. And
Right.
it's based on salary. It's salary based. So if you ain't never paid into the state government, even though the money is coming from the federal government, you're not going to get the coverage because you've never put anything in it. And if you do, it's going to be at a bare minimum. And
Well,
you're acceptable.
Medicaid's for low income residents. Yeah.
Yes.
You got to make a certain amount of the federal poverty level.
Yeah, you got to be so far under the poverty level that you qualify for it, and then you're not going to get the prenatal care that you need. Instead of you getting seen every month, you might get seen every 90 days. Huh?
Yeah, right.
You get your services are limited. You might be able to get 4 visits on the 3 visits on the prenatal care, or if you're on a good healthcare system, pay a lot into it, then you can get seen every month.
I'm a strong supporter of a national health service. I don't think healthcare should be based on income or any other kind of criteria.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a human right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think just like we spend what, 900 million on defense, almost $1 billion.
We spend $1 billion right now. It's almost $1 trillion now on defense.
I mean, 900 billion. Yeah.
Budget out that it's the biggest budget in the world. Our defense budget, the biggest allocation of funds in the world goes to the USA.
It should be reversed. That money should be available for healthcare.
For the healthcare. All right, we've been on a little over an hour, so let's go ahead and cap out. Talk to me about what's on your mind and your closing statements, Mr. Claude.
Well, no, I mean, we the more we talk about this on this show about problems, and we spend a lot of time talking about problems, and and the thing that keeps coming to mind to me is that Black excellence died with integration. That Black excellence died with integration. Mm-hmm. And I think we got to get Black excellence back in this country. I think we can do it through education. I think we have to take advantage of the opportunities that are out there. Take advantage of the political opportunities. Back in the day, where if there was a lemon, if there was a lime, people turned it into a lemon. I think we're back to those kind of days, because I don't think that politicians are going to come to our rescue, and it's evident by this discussion about healthcare. We've talked about voting rights. We've talked about, Texas just passed a voucher bill. I think there are some opportunities there for the Black community, but the Black community as a whole, the churches, the institutions, the nonprofits, they got to all get on board. And I just think that we're so divided on these issues that we don't come to any kind of coherent strategy so that we can go out to the community and talk to folks and say, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to write your elected representative. What's our unified strategy? You know, Bernie Sanders has been screaming about healthcare as a human right for years. But do we have a uniform strategy within the political process to get there? You know, I mean, Obamacare wasn't the answer. So, you know, I think that we just got to continue to educate our people and come up with a coherent strategy on how to speak with one voice on these issues so that we can begin to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
But until then, the people are going to continue to suffer.
I agree, Mr. Clark.
You know, so I'll end it with those comments. I know it sounds kind of didn't sound too positive, but you know, it's obviously clear the thing that drove Mr. Hinton to do what he did, and he was wrong to take a life, but some Black people are driven to that because of the system is so unfair.
Yeah.
The system is so unjust. And two wrongs don't make a right. But this guy took that outlet because he felt like that was the only justice that he could achieve.
Yeah.
You know, and what's that saying about our society?
We're failing.
And one thing I didn't mention was Anna Navarro comments about slaves being the same thing as illegal immigrants. We didn't talk about that, but
we'll bring that up next week.
Before we go, the more information that's out there, the less people seem to be aware of what is really out. How can she say so? Who could say integration, slavery was the same as illegal immigration?
Some uninformed people, or some people that in denial.
This is a person on CNN.
In denial.
CNN don't invite uninformed people.
Shit.
Not supposed to.
But I'm sorry. Y'all forgive me.
Well,
thank you to Mr. Clark Foster, my co-host, for being in 247. We'll be back next Sunday with another interesting topic to bring you in on and allow you to discuss with us and hear what our discussions are about. All right. So thank you, Mr. Clark, for being here today. I'm going to go ahead and proceed to close it with my remarks, and then I'm going to call it a day. Mr. Clark brought up some very interesting points. One great point that I heard him say was that we cannot keep waiting on the government, to do the things for us that we need to do for ourselves. And they're going to force us to do what we have to do. Like the individual in Ohio who killed the police officer is not, he took it out on the very first police officer he saw. He was grieving, of course, and he was probably under duress when it happened. But the fact of the matter is it happened. Now, for me to say those things, grieving and under duress, is nothing more than you hear every day on the news when a white boy goes out and commits mass murder or does something stupid. Well, he probably came from a good family. He just had a hard time growing up. You're going to hear stuff like that. Just like I'm saying about this Black man who killed a police officer. Same thing. He was under duress. He was still grieving for them killing his son. All these things just happen, and it's part of our society and how it goes. But we cannot wait on the government to change what's actually happening here in our society. We got to make the change. We got to start voicing our opinions and asking for what we want, and sometimes demanding what we want. But we can't demand for something that ain't somebody's fault. You're standing there with that clerk and she telling you your appointment has been canceled. There's no need for you to stand there and beat her up, because that's not her responsibility to make sure you got money or services on your particular card. I always say that we're pretending to hide, pretending basically it's hiding the truth. If we're pretending that this is the way America is. We're hiding the truth and actuality of the way America really is. It's difficult for us to say goodbye to what we are so accustomed to here in America. As Black people, African American people, we've never, ever experienced the level of citizenship that we should be accustomed to. We're always deep down inside pretending that we're equal in this country. And we know that as African Americans and Blacks, we are not equal. There are two separate justice systems. Now our goal is to force the truth out into the public's eye, and that making sure that we are not asleep at the wheel. Black people need to be aware that this is the way this country operates. And once we start to accept the fact that this is the way this country operates, then we can deal with the situations that we encounter. And if we are never, ever willing to deal with what's actually happening out here, we ain't never going to get beyond where we are right now. And the only way we are going to get beyond where we are right now, we got to start getting involved in these politics, because politics run this country. I don't care what nobody say. Politics run the country. It runs the federal government. It runs the state government. It runs the local government, and it even runs the community you live in. Get involved with something to make a difference. This is the Black News Network, the real voice of Black USA, broadcasting every Sunday at 3:30 p.m. You can find us live on YouTube at BNN247, on Facebook at The War Report, and on Instagram at BNN247_. We thank you for listening to us. So please subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like us on Facebook, leave a comment. Definitely be back next Sunday for another interesting discussion. Thank you for watching BNN247, the Black News Network.